Okay, so I'm gonna move my camera over here so that I can follow along with Kevin's instructions. So welcome everyone. This is Kevin McRae. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Kevin.
Okay, I'm Kevin McRae. I'm from a company called American Financial Network. What we were going over today was two things. One of them is a program we have called the Hero Homebuyer Credit. So I can walk everybody through that. So Vanda, you want me to just go or you want to do anything else beforehand?
No, you can go ahead and go.
Okay, so again, the program is called Hero Homebuyer Credit. And I'll explain what it is before we go to the website. But first of all, we've had the program for about 20 years. It's not brand new. We certainly helped thousands of people. It's a nationwide program. We offer it in every state. I happen to be in California, so I'm 2 hours behind you, so it's about 7 o'clock here. But we offer it in every state. And it's for anybody that falls under the classification of a hero. So if they're in law enforcement, fire prevention, healthcare, education, the military, they work for a utility company, transportation, distribution, an airline, or even a public agency like the city, county, or state. So a big group of people. And if they fall under any one of those categories, we automatically cover up to $30,000 of their expenses when buying a home. So all the escrow, title, processing, docs, underwriting, notary, all the closing costs they would have, and they never pay the money back. So if there is no second mortgage, we're not adding anything to the loan amount, we're not increasing the interest rate. If they sell the home somewhere down the road, there's no repayment. So again, it's absolutely free. The other thing is we don't take any of your commission. There's another company out there that's been around for a long time. I've got nothing against them. It's called Homes for Heroes. Good company, that's fine, but they take about 40% of your commission. And a lot of times people think that we're that company, but we're not. We have nothing to do with them. We're two separate things. So again, we don't take anything from the buyer. We don't take anything from the realtor. We offer it nationwide. Whether they're a first-time buyer, second-time buyer, an investment property, a second home, that's fine. There's no income limit. So whether they make $10 an hour or $10 million an hour, they're still eligible. So again, it's solely based upon where the person works. And another thing that makes us different from most programs is it doesn't matter what the person does where they work. So like under education, a lot of programs are just for teachers. Well, ours would be for the teacher, the principal, the bus driver, the custodian, the crossing guard, the lunch lady, the nurse. It doesn't matter what they do there, they're automatically eligible. And whether it's full-time, part-time, or even volunteer, because like there's a lot of volunteer fire and other things where they would be eligible even though they're not technically employed, but they volunteer. Right. So again, it's for a big group of people. What we do is we send information to the fire station, the police station, the schools, etc. And we send posters or a laminated poster that we ask them to hang in the break room. We've been doing that for about 20 years. We have probably somewhere around 10,000 locations where we have posters hanging. And then we do a lot of co-branded marketing. And that's what me and Vanda have talked about, have done before, is we take the same posters and information that we have, and we would put you on there and help you to circulate the information in your local area, help you to get into the local fire station, school, etc. And generate leads from that, again, getting it into those locations. So what I wanted to do was at least share the website that we have. So if everybody can log in and go to our main website, which is the name of the program, it's herohomebuyercredit.com. And Vanda, I guess you have to let me know if everybody's able to log into that.
Okay, you guys put a thumbs up or let me know if once you're in there.
Okay, what is again the page that we have to visit?
It's the name of our program, which is Hero Homebuyercredit.com.
No S after the buyers. It's not buyers, it's home buyer credit.
Okay.
And there is, well, it
You know,
keeps,
I hear you, but I don't see the images of you. Oh, now I see you. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
so are you at the
Okay, so-
website, herohomebuyercredit.com? Is everybody good with that?
I am here now. Yes.
Okay,
Okay. I'm gonna mute myself back again. Okay.
okay, I'm gonna put it in the chat too, because if anybody gets on here late. Oh, hey, Arthur, he said he's on the site. Okay, good. Hero Homebuyer Credit.com. Uh-oh. Okay, everybody's good.
Okay. So this is our main site, and we get at least 1,000 people every month going to this website because, again, they saw it at a place of work or some other means that to get them to go to the website. And in here, it just talks about the program. There's a video. You don't need to play the video right now. You can go back and play it later. But it just kind of gives an overview of what we do, who it's for, why we do it, etc. And then if you scroll down the page, there's another feature to our program. About halfway down, it says thinking of selling your home. Because we offer our program if they're buying a home. Again, you have a teacher, a firefighter, or a truck driver, they'd be eligible. But if they have a home to sell, anybody that buys their home would be automatically eligible, even if they don't fall into one of the categories, because the seller is eligible. And Vanda had somebody, I think it was a truck driver, that may or may not take advantage of it, but because he was a truck driver, it automatically makes him eligible to promote him at his home, that we can cover the closing costs for the buyer if they use our program. And again, it doesn't matter what that person does for a living because the seller's a hero. So we have yard signs and we have flyers and brochures, open house information, different things that can be used at the home to let people know. So if they're driving down the street and then they're past your listing, they see that sign in the yard, the buyer's probably going to call to find out what's that all about because he didn't see it on any other home. Same thing as other realtors in town that don't know about our program would certainly call you to find out, what is this, etc. So again, it's giving a lot of exposure to the home, but it can also pick up, extra buyers that are coming, that are maybe driving around looking for a home. They see the sign, again, they call you. So you can pick up buyers just from marketing your listing. So again, our goal is to try to drive as many people to you as possible, whether they're a hero, and we have information where they work, whether you have a listing and they see information about the program there. Again, it's driving the buyer to you for information on the program that we have. Now we offer it with FHA, VA, conventional, and USDA. So all loan programs, we follow the standard guidelines. There's no extra add-ons or anything like I mentioned. They don't have to be a first-time buyer. There's no income limits. There's no area restrictions, so it doesn't matter where they buy using the Hero Homebuyer Credit. But one of the programs we have, like I mentioned, is USDA. And I think most realtors, most lenders don't understand what USDA is and how it can be beneficial to the buyer. And before I go into showing you USDA, I want to give you like a kind of an example of the difference between a USDA and an FHA, because they're the most similar. Most first-time buyers use FHA or USDA. So the difference is FHA requires a down payment of at least 3.5%. USDA is 0. FHA has an upfront mortgage insurance premium, which is 1.75%. USDA is only 1%, so it's about half. And then FHA has mortgage insurance, which it's factored at 0.85%, where USDA is 0.35%, so less than half. So if somebody bought, let's say, a $300,000 home, they're going to have a lower payment using USDA, even though they had 0 down, it's still a lower payment than FHA. So if someone's buying in an area that's eligible for USDA, it's better than going in any other loan program anyway, because it's a no down payment, lower mortgage insurance, lower cost. It's a fantastic financing program. So what I want to do is go into the USDA site, because under that program, it has to be in a rural area. Now, rural doesn't mean farmland or agricultural or anything like that. It's all based upon population. So in a very heavy populated area, it's not eligible, but in a location that is not as densely populated, you can use the program. So if you can scroll down to the bottom of my website, right above the disclaimer, there's a little button that says links. If you click on links, it'll open another page, and it's got 5 different categories or things that come up all the time. I get hundreds of calls every month asking about USDA or like the loan limits, because as you may know, next month, the conventional loan limits are going up. Most likely the FHA loan limits are going up. So we wanted to make sure everybody can see what they are. And depending upon what county you're in, it can vary greatly. Like I was telling Vanda yesterday, where I live, I can drive 20 miles and be in 4 different counties, and each county has a different loan limit. So I know that happens to other people as well. So I want to make sure that people know that if you cross into another county, you need to make sure that you check what is the loan limit. It could be more or less than what it is in the county that you normally work in. So in here, we have the links to those. So I don't know if everybody is in that part of the website or not before we go into the map.
Everybody into the links? Thumbs
No, I'm
up.
looking for them.
Okay, go all the way to the bottom of that home buyer credit site. And
Yeah.
you'll see
Oh,
something that
yeah, I
says-
found it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so if you click on that again, it's going to open another page, and it's got 5 different categories there.
mhm.
Now, we're only going to worry about the USDA, but if you ever wanted to find out, like if a condominium is FHA approved, that's in there. Because if you're doing an FHA loan, or the buyer's going with an FHA loan, we need to make sure that the complex is approved. So there's a link right there if you ever want to go into it that you can search all of the approved or unapproved condominiums nationwide. And then again, if you ever need to know what the loan limit is, or next month when everything changes, just to confirm, you can click on that. It'll show you what the loan limits are going forward.
Okay,
But what I wanted to, I'm sorry.
I said, okay.
Okay, what I wanted to go into is the one on the top left where it says USDA eligibility. So right below that, it says USDA map. If you click on that, it'll take you into the USDA system. Over to the right-hand side, there's a button that says accept. So if you click accept, you should see the whole United States. So let's make sure everybody got there.
Yes, I'm
Laura?
there. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at that, when you look at each state, you can see these little brown spots. If you see the little brown spots on it, those are the areas that are not eligible. So about 95% of the United States is eligible because it doesn't have a little brown spot. But those little brown spots are where everybody lives, the very heavily populated areas. So what we want to do is we want to concentrate on Texas. So we can do what we're going to do is that you can just zoom in rather than putting an address in like we did yesterday,
Mhm,
Vanda,
mhm.
is just start zooming in, and then you can see as you zoom into Texas, you can see all the cities start popping up, and you can see like with Fort Worth and Arlington and Austin, again the heavily populated areas, they have that covering, that brown color on them. That means they're not eligible. But you can see all the other cities around there, from Breckenridge to Haskell, Seymour, Graham. I don't know Texas very well, but you can see all those areas are eligible for USDA.
So like Wharton, Sealy, Hempstead, Brenham, Navasota, yeah. And then parts by zooming.
As long as everybody's there. The other thing we want to do is go above the map, just a little bit above the map, over to the right. There's a button that says switch base map. If you click on that, and then click on the one in the middle where it says Bing's map or Bing map hybrid, you click on that, it's more like a Google map now.
Okay.
And then click on the that switch base map again. That box will disappear, and at least now it looks like a regular map, and you can start zooming in. And as you zoom in now, you can see the street names, the houses, all of the information that like in a regular map. So just as an example, if everybody knows where Breckenridge is, or Breckenridge, let's zoom in right above Breckenridge and start zooming down. And you can see, you know, all the houses off of, what is that, 180 East?
I don't know
Off that highway.
I don't know Breckenridge. I'm looking at Brookshire though.
Oh, Brookshire, okay, let me find Brookshire. I just want to make sure we're all at the same. Place.
So all of these new construction homes that they're building out in Katy off of the Grand Parkway, Sunterra, all of those are USDA eligible. Brookshire, all of them are USDA eligible. I see it changing colors here.
Yeah, so you can see again, as long as it's eligible, you can also put an address in. So again, if you look above the map over to the left, it says find your address. So if you wanted to find if a specific address is eligible, you can plug it in there and it will pin it on the map and tell you whether it is or isn't eligible.
Okay.
What city did you say you're going into?
Brookshire.
Okay, so if we zoom in, we can see again all the houses that are there. Now, what we did in the past, because in the city that I live in, we're not eligible for USDA either because of our population. So what I did was we all the cities around me were eligible, and we found everybody that was renting a house in those cities, and we would send them a letter that basically said, how would you like to buy a home in this city? You know, we figure if you're renting there, you probably want to live there. And we were able to get them into a home with no down payment. We covered the closing costs, and the monthly payment was very similar to what they're paying for rent. And like today, rents are very high, so if you can buy a home and your payment probably isn't a whole lot different, like I said, than renting it. So we did hundreds and hundreds of these transactions because, again, the person that was renting felt, hey, if I might as well buy the house, so they buy the house next door, down the street, whatever it was, rather than leasing another property when their lease term came up, because they'd have to come in with first, last, and security. That was more money than it took to buy the house.
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing would apply in all these cities in Texas or in your area. All of those cities that have that people are renting in, you can give information to them to let them know that there's a program that they can now buy a home and not have to come in with a bunch of money like maybe they thought they had to. Or if somebody's, we're advertising, letting people know about our program and that we have a 100% financing program, which is USDA. And as they call in to get them qualified, we can make sure that they know where they have to, your job is to make sure they know where they have to move to. Now, if they don't want to move into one of those areas, like they want to live in, they want to live in Katy, or they want to live in Houston or wherever it might be, now they have to go to a different program. So, at least we can get them qualified. And many people think that they need as much as 20% down. That's very common. When I'm talking to people and they talk about the down payment, they say, well, we don't have 20% down. We can't buy a home. I don't know why they think they need 20% down, but a lot of people do. So if we let them know that, no, you can actually get into a home with 0 down, or go with a conventional loan with 3% down, or an FHA loan with 3.5%, there's a lot of people out there that have that misconception that they need a lot more money than they do. So again, by advertising the 0 down program or the Hero Homebuyer Credit, we bring a lot of first-time buyers into the market that again have that misconception of how much is actually needed. So that's really what I wanted to go over, is what the Hero Homebuyer Credit offers. And one of the loan programs, the USDA, which is in Texas, is open to more than 50% of the state. All of the other cities around Houston, all those areas are eligible, and it's really a gold mine. There's just tons of them out there. Most realtors don't know what USDA is. Most lenders don't offer USDA, and most consumers have never heard of it. So if you can come up with a way of finding those areas, getting the list of people that are renting there, which you can get from your title officer, and sending a letter to them asking if they would like to buy a home, I think you'd be surprised how many people would like to do that. And then it's just a matter of making sure they're qualified and getting them into something.
Get that marketing going. That is a good marketing strategy.
Yeah, so that one loan program is what we haven't offered for a long time. We're bringing it back, and it's already brought us a tremendous number of inquiries and loans in process, and realtors are promoting it in other areas. But what I really want to get back to then is what the main thing, which is our program, the Hero Homebuyer Credit. So like I was saying, we have posters hanging in thousands of locations nationwide. And what we would want to do is help you to get into those locations in your area. Like I mentioned, the local fire station, the police station, the schools, the hospital, the water district, the power company, whatever it might be. We will freely give you the posters and flyers that you can share with them. And we stick them in the mail. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm in California. I'm doing more transactions in Florida than I am in any other state right now. 3,000 miles away. And we stick them in the mail and ask them to hang them up, and they do. If you walk in the door, you're going to have better success than I do. So if you walk into your local fire station or any of those other locations, again, you'll be surprised, but most of them will gladly hang the information up, because it's for everybody that works in that building. It's a benefit they receive for doing what they do. And our phone has not stopped ringing for 20 years. We have not stopped receiving inquiries from the website for 20 years. And we're the realtors that we worked with for a long time have all experienced the same thing. It's a long-term marketing campaign that keeps the phone ringing of people that are in those areas that serve our community that would like to buy a home.
So Kevin,
And so I don't know if there's a question or something, if I want to go over something different.
well, I was just gonna see if you wanted to go over the income limits and how to find that. And
Okay, so under the Hero Homebuyer Credit, we don't have income limits or area restrictions, but USDA does. So like I said, we're looking at the map and we can see the areas that are eligible because it doesn't have the shading on it. But if you go back to my website where it had those 5 options, if you can click back to that, where it had the USDA, where we had the map and it had the FHA loan limits and the conventional mortgage limits. If you're able to go back to that page, on the top, in the middle, it says USDA income limits. So if you click on that button that says income limits, it'll open up the whole United States. There's like 350 pages. It covers everything. And it's around page 270 where Texas is. And you can see all the counties are lined up there. So make sure everybody's able to get to the loan limits, the income limits. And it doesn't change much from county to county, but when you're looking at those limits, we use the bottom line number. So it's got very low income, and moderate income. So moderate income is what we use to determine if their income is within the USDA maximum income. Most counties in Texas, the income limit is $103,500. So it's not low income. You can make as much as $103,000 and still use USDA. If you look at that breakdown, if you go across to the right, if there's between 1 and 4 people living in the home, it's $103,500. If there's 5 people or more living in the home, it goes up to $136,000. So you can make $136,000 a year and still use USDA. So that was another misconception that a lot of people had, that they thought it was for low income. I don't think $136,000 a year is low income, no matter where you're at.
nope.
So you can see that, again, the income limit is quite high. Most of the people that are probably buying in Texas make less than $136,000, most of them. If you're a firefighter or a nurse or a teacher or whatever you are, you probably make less than $136,000 for that type of job. So it's pretty easy to get somebody qualified for USDA. And like I said, that's not the only loan program do. Now, if their income is above that, we would have to go FHA or conventional. If they've been in the military, we'd probably go VA, where they don't have to worry about those income limits. So this is just for USDA. So again, it's 0 down, lower mortgage insurance, lower upfront costs, And as long as it falls under those income limits and going back to that map, as long as it's in an eligible area, it's a fantastic loan program. It's been around since the 80s, so it's not anything brand new. It's just most people don't know about it, or they know about it and they just don't use it. So I know I went over that pretty quick, and doing it over the phone is not the best way to do it. But if you can just go back into that map, and maybe Vanda, you can help, you just kind of play around with it, go in and look around so you get familiar with it, and see again all those areas that are eligible, and come up with a marketing campaign to go to the people that live in those areas, that are renting in those areas, or anybody that's looking at buying a home that doesn't have any money down. You can suggest homes in those cities, and then you can pull those properties from the MLS. And again, it's a great marketing tool. The last thing I think I want to say about USDA is they only change their map once every 10 years. So in 2030, they're going to redo the map, and some of the eligible today won't be in 2030. So you have 8 years of doing this marketing, and you never have to change it. For 8 years, all those areas that are eligible will continue to be eligible. And whether it's a new home, a resale, a bank-owned, a condo, a townhome, or a regular single family, they're eligible. So all that new construction would be eligible for USDA. Anybody that's a resale is eligible for USDA. So again, it opens the door to a lot of transactions that maybe were left on the table because the person didn't have any money for a down payment.
Mm-hmm. You guys have any questions? You want to explain anything else? Oh, well, if nobody has a question, I'm gonna see if anybody's got any questions, and I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
Well, it's very interesting, everything. I'm just gonna read the website more, to get more familiar with it. But I find it very interesting. Thank you.
And Vanda, if you want to email me, whoever wants information, everybody's email address, I can send them a little bit more information about the program. We have flyers and brochures and Q&A and all kinds of things that I can that you can look at, that we can make for you. We would put your name on those publications, those material, if you wanted to circulate them. An overview of what we just talked about, and then if you wanted to get material for yourself to use, I would include my marketing girl. Her name is Jessica. She would reach out to you to get your picture and your email address and all the things we would need to have on the marketing piece. And then if you're looking at it later on today or tomorrow, whatever it might be, and you have questions, you can always reach out to me to go through it individually. So we at least wanted to go over it as a group right now and kind of show you the basics of both the Hero Home Buyer Credit and USDA. But a lot of times it takes a one-on-one, at least on the phone, to go over things to better understand and to answer the questions, to make sure you know all the people that are eligible. There's millions of people that are eligible just in the state of Texas. We just need to find them, and we know where they work.
And so on your website, on his website, there's a spot here where you guys can put in your information, your email and phone, and then they can contact you. You can set up something with him one-on-one. Now their marketing is pretty good. I remember, and I had kind of got away from it, Kevin, from when we first connected, but I did co-brand with him, and I went into some fire stations, and I, kind of talked to them and asked them to put things up. That was pre-COVID, of course. And then I did have some people call me. They're like, hey, I saw your sign and I wanted some information, but then they were like, well, my brother is a realtor, whatever. So I didn't get any business from it, but I did know that they put it up there, and then COVID happened. So
yeah. And it's definitely a numbers game. You can get a poster hanging in one location and may not do anything for you. You may get into 10 and you're buried. And we had somebody in Texas go to the county office, because if you work for the city or the county or the state, you're eligible. So they got county with Broward County, and they I don't really know how they did it, but somebody at the county of Broward sent an email out to every employee with like a snapshot of our flyer and all the information about the program. Well, there's 5,800 employees. We had hundreds and hundreds. I'm still getting calls. That was 8 months ago. Hundreds and hundreds of calls. I think we closed 15 transactions in just a few months. because somebody got into the county office and asked them to share it with everybody.
Mhm.
That it was unbelievable. I mean, there was hundreds of calls. Now, I've never had that happen ever before. And I tell everybody, go to the county, go to the city, go to, you know, again, the sheriff's office, go to the hospital. There's hundreds, if not thousands of people that work in the hospital. And all you're trying to do is get it in their break room or in the teacher's lounge or whatever it might be. And it may not apply to somebody today. And I hear that all the time too, is they saw the poster in there, it didn't mean anything, you know, a couple months go by and then all of a sudden they're thinking, hey, maybe we should look into buying a home. And they remember there's some information there.
Right.
Because
So,
it's a laminated poster, it has a long shelf life. We have them hanging in locations that have been there for years. They just don't throw them away. It's better than just a piece of paper that's sitting on somebody's desk or counter or whatever it might be, and they eventually throw it away. They don't throw those posters away. They're hanging up on the wall.
yep, very good. So you do it once and it stays there.
Mhm.
So we got some questions. I'm gonna read them to you. The site says medical workers. Would that include jobs like drug rehab workers or program directors?
Yes. So under healthcare, it's like in the other ones, it's very difficult to put every single occupation or job position under that. So whether it's a hospital worker, like a nurse, a doctor, an orderly, the shipping clerk, the intake person, the volunteer, it can be the dental office, the mental health, physical health, the school nurse. There's tens of thousands of positions just under healthcare that we couldn't even possibly list them. And whether they're full-time, part-time, or volunteer, they're eligible. Now, if they're part-time, we have to make sure they qualify to buy a home, but they're automatically eligible, whether they work 1 day a week or 40 hours a week, it doesn't really matter. They're eligible for our program. So answering that question, yes, they would be eligible.
So like even a janitor that works at a hospital is eligible.
That's correct. If they're paid by the hospital or employed by the hospital, they're eligible, no matter
Okay.
what they do.
I think that answered your question too, Regina. Is there a minimum credit score for the USDA and Hero Home Buyer Credit Program?
Well, we follow whatever the lending guidelines are. Now, for like FHA, VA, and USDA, we don't go below 620. Now, VA, we can go into the fives, but then the interest rate goes up. It's you know, a little bit more difficult. But for the most part, we go down to 620. A conventional, they require a higher credit score depending upon the down payment. So our minimum score really is no different from any other lender. But again, there are lenders that say they'll do a 500 FHA. Well, we won't go that low. So for the most part, like I said, 620. And when we're talking to people in the beginning, if their score is low and we can't do anything for them today, we try to educate them and point them in a direction to raise the score. Maybe they need to pay something off or try to get a collection account removed or whatever it might be. We don't do credit repair, but at least we can point them in a direction that if they help themselves, maybe a month or two down the road, they're able to buy something. So whenever I talk to somebody and run their credit, I for sure call them back, whether it's good news or bad, and make sure that, again, I'm giving them some information and some hope to be a buyer in the future.
Is there a certain employment time requirement?
There's not. If they work 1 day, they're eligible. Now, again, that would make them eligible for the Hero Home Buyer Credit. Being eligible for financing could be something different. If you're only on the job for 1 day, you may not be able to get a loan, but you'd be eligible for the Hero Home Buyer Credit. So if they have a 2-year work history doing whatever, and now they become a teacher, they would be eligible, and we should be able to count the income because they have a 2-year history of employment, even though they're not 2 years on that job. So there is no minimum length of time on the job to be eligible for Hero Home Buyer Credit. But again, we need to make sure we have a 2-year history of employment for financing.
So what if they just got out of college and they have a specialized degree, like say a doctor, and he just got a job, intern or whatever?
Right. So that would be the same thing with the teacher. They go through their 2 or 4 year program, or a nurse, a 4-year program to get licensed. We would need to get the transcripts to show that they were in school. We count that as on the job, basically. Or sometimes people get out of the military and they go into the normal workforce, but we count that military as work. So they could be on the job and receive 1 paycheck and still be eligible because again, they have that history. So somebody that went into the medical field, doctor, nurse, whatever it might be, we need to get their transcripts, show what they were doing, and then make sure that we know that they're hired now full-time at ABC hospital or whatever it might be.
Okay. Are we able to add our branding and info to this downloadable flyer?
Well, we would do that for you. So that's just an example. So when I mentioned my Jessica, who does all the marketing material, she would reach out to you, let's say Monday, to get your information, and she would make those flyers for you. And the flyer that you're looking at on there is what we call the group flyer. There's like one of everybody on there. But if you're going to go to a fire station, all of the people on there would be firefighters. If you're going to a police station, everybody on there would look like law enforcement, et cetera. So you switch out the pictures to match the people to where you're going. So Jessica would make you, as many as you want. If you want fire station, you want a police station, you want school teachers, you want the water district, you want trucking, have truck drivers and trucks on it. So again, we just switch out the pictures so that they know that that program is for them. So to answer the question, yeah, you wouldn't do that, but yes, we would put all your information on there.
All right, thank you. And Teresa, I see you had your hand up. Do you still have a question? No? Okay. I think that was the last question. You guys can take yourself off of mute if you got another question. And then I see you guys putting your email in here, but if you go on this website and put your information in here, not that one. Right here.
Yeah, you can either fill, there's a form there you can fill out, or you can just email me. My email address is on there. You can call me, after the meeting or Monday, whatever you like, to go through individually. Because sometimes it's got to kind of sink in that, is it really for all these people? And then you start thinking of all the locations around you. If from your house, if you draw a 20-mile radius, you'll probably find 100 locations that have people that fall under the category. Again, whether it's healthcare, whether it's law enforcement, water district, etc. I'm sure if you sat down and started thinking, my gosh, there's so many locations. And if you get something in each one of them, you'd probably be buried with phone calls, because there's so many people within a 20-mile radius, no matter where you live, that can take advantage of it. And every month we send out thousands and thousands of these packets asking them to hang it up. And we've done that for 20 years and we still haven't hit all the locations. Every single month we send out more and more.
Do you have
really just scratched the surface?
I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Do you have any real estate teams that like have one joint website that maybe they have a code on it? Like if I refer someone to this website, it came from me, or Chandra referred somebody, it came from her. Is it
it would be either if we had it as a team website, so everybody is referring everybody back to that same one website, they would all come in and we would know that they were yours. But all I can do is I guess give them all to you, Vanda, and then you can split them up from there. On the flyer, we ask the person for the realtor's name. So if they put your name on there, we would know. When Jessica gets you set up, we give everybody a code, and the code is your initials and the last four of your cell phone number. So if the consumer goes into the site and they put your code in there, we know where it came from, or they put your name in there, obviously we know where it came from. So I guess if that answers the question, we're trying everything we can to make sure that when that buyer calls or they fill out the form or they're doing an inquiry, that I know, again, what was the source of their inquiry. What happens a lot is somebody will call in and they'll say, my realtor asked me to call, or said to call in, to get more information. I said, oh, who was the realtor? It was John. I don't remember his last name, but his name was John. I don't know who, I have 50 people named John. I don't know. So that's one of my biggest struggles, is making sure that I can get the information of who referred that to me. So I always tell people, if you have somebody that may be calling me, if you send me an email that just says, hey, John Smith may be calling you, I can at least put John Smith next to your name. I've got thousands of people on the list, so that when John Smith calls up, I can look up and say, oh, that belongs to this person. So I can make sure it goes back to you. Obviously, if you have their name and phone number and you email it to me, I'll be getting a hold of them, and I track it and make sure that we contact them, get them qualified, and I know who to call back. And again, if they fill out that information form in the website, if they input who it's from, I get it. Now, what I think what Vanda was talking about is we make individual websites for agents or a team. So the website would be branded again to your team. If you go in there, and I'll send everybody an example of what the Realtor website looks like. It looks very similar to our main website, but it's geared to and designed to promote the Realtor or the team. So it would have the bio in there, everybody's picture, whether it's a group picture or individual, what everybody's specialty is, where you work or whatever it might be. If they fill out the form on there, we don't need them to put in the code. We don't need them to put in the Realtor name because if it's in your website that we make for you, it automatically tells us where it came from. So again, if there's no name on there, I can at least go back to Vanda and say, hey, here's the people that called in today or this week or whatever it might be. And then you kind of divvy them up from there. So we're going to do everything we can to make sure that any of the leads that come in from your efforts go back to you. Obviously, if they call you or they email you, that's easy. But when they go into the website, and I said, we have thousands of people every month going into our website. We'd like to do whatever we can to make sure that you get 1,000 people going to your group website. That'd be great. But then again, the challenge is just making sure that those are divvied up the right way or find a way to make sure they go back to each one individually.
And the cost of the website is?
Well, yeah, now we don't want to charge for website, but RESPA, and everybody knows what RESPA is. RESPA will not allow me to give you anything of value. So a website is a thing of value. So they say that a website would cost $200. So we charge $200 because RESPA says we have to. So, and it's $200 a year. So when you take a look at the website, there's videos in there. It'll be updated if there's any change. Like right now, since we increased our maximum loan, our maximum credit, it used to be 20, it's now 30. So we changed that on all the websites. We added in, additional categories. So recently we added in distribution and trucking and things like that. So we had to add that to the website. If there's something that changes in lending, like when we added USDA, we added that to the websites and the flyers. So we would be constantly updating that website for you to make sure, number one, that we're legal and that everything in there is up to date. So the website costs $200. It's for a year. And if one person went to the website and bought a house, it would pay for that website for the next 30 years. So it's not a mandatory thing, but if there's a group of people or there's a lot of marketing going on, I think it's the smartest thing, again, just to make sure that I know where it came from, because it's very difficult for me when asking somebody. Now, if they said Vanda, I only have one person named Vanda, but if they say John, I have no idea what John is, or Mary.
Right.
So, it makes it difficult. So it's very hard for me. So I want to make sure that you help me help you in, and again, that website does take care. It's not a perfect system, but does help to take care of making sure, like I said, everything that is generated by your team gets back to your team.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I got a couple of questions. Is this available in all 50 states?
Yes.
In order to receive the homebuyer credit, do they have to use your lenders?
Yes. Now, we are the lender, so it's not lenders. We're the only lender in the nation. We are a mortgage banker. We do 4,000 to 5,000 transactions a month. There's 210 branches, so we're in every state. My branch is the only one out of those 210 that does the Hero Homebuyer Credit. That's all I do. 100% of the transactions I do are people that fall under one of the classifications of the Hero. The other 209 branches don't do them. Every one of them comes to me. And because we're the ones giving the money, we have to make sure that the person falls under one of those categories, because we have to, if we offered it to somebody that wasn't, we've opened the door to lawsuits, because people said we can't discriminate. Well, if you're not a firefighter, that's not discrimination. If you're not a firefighter, you can't use it. If you're not a teacher. So that's why we have defined occupations, and they have to fall under that. And my branch has to do it to make sure that, again, we follow all of the guidelines, and the CFPB and NAR and everybody else has looked into us and said, okay, that's all legit, but we have to stay true to that. So they all have to come through my branch here. But again, we are the lender. So it's not like we shop it around or there's other places they can go.
Okay. And did you say the trucking industry qualifies for the HERO program?
Right, that was one of the additions, so whether it's trucking or shipping. So as like UPS, I think the Walmart truck driver, the individual truck driver would be eligible if they work at the shipyard, if they work for an airline. So yes, trucking, shipping, distribution, they're all eligible.
Uber and Lyft?
No,
Oh, okay.
because when we're looking at HERO, like a truck driver, you think, well, why would a Walmart truck driver fall under as a HERO? Well, like what happened in Florida, when the devastation that was there, they had to get goods back in there. So those Walmart trucks and Costco trucks and everybody else had to get material back into that state to get people back on their feet. The utility companies had to go back in there, put the power lines back up and make sure everything was working. So that's why we classify them as a HERO. They're going in there when there's a disaster. Now Uber and Lyft, it's not the same thing,
Hey, they bring me food when I'm hungry. I think that's a HERO.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but no, so they would not be under one of the classifications.
Okay, but not
But
the.
a bus driver would, but not Uber or Lyft. But like a busing. I don't know what bus systems if you have there, but different states have different types of mass transportation, trains.
And it could be a co-signer that's eligible too, huh?
That's right. So you could have husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, and then the parents and then the in-laws. Sometimes it happens. You have sometimes 6 people on a transaction. As long as one person is eligible, the whole file is eligible. So if you've got the husband's a firefighter and the wife does whatever, they'd be eligible. Or if the wife is a teacher and the husband is self-employed, they would still be eligible. As long as one person falls under one of those categories, it makes the whole file eligible.
And you said it could be up to 6 people on an application?
You can. Yeah, the system doesn't really allow more than that. There was times I had 10 people on an application years ago, but it doesn't really allow you to put more than that. So you could have, we don't really like it when there's many people because it's so much. But again, it's if there is, sure. Because you could have, again, the husband and wife, they're 20 years old, they got married, they want to buy a home. So the parents co-sign and they're not enough income or whatever. So we have the other parents. So I've had 6 people in a transaction. It comes up every couple of months. We have, a lot of people.
I believe in multi-generational living. So that's a good marketing ploy too.
And it doesn't mean that they're all going to be living in the home. Right. Like with an FHA loan, it's very common that we have, and one of the things that we do is what we used to call, and I still call it a kiddie condo. So your son or daughter turns 18 and they're going to go away to college and they're going to either live in a frat or they're going to live on campus, or you find a place to rent. So the kiddie condo would allow you to buy a condo or a house in that area next to the school. And as long as that the kid is on the transaction, so as long as they're 18 years old and they're going to live in it, we would go with an FHA loan with only 3.5% down. The parents would be the non-occupying cosigner. We'd only be using the parents' income because the kid's not even working, but we can do that as an owner-occupied 3.5% down, normal interest rate FHA loan.
Wow.
And then the idea is then after the 4 years the kid graduates, now you sell the property, right? You get all your money back. Because it went up in value, and it's better than renting somewhere. At least you own it, and maybe then you have some of his classmates rent out a room or something, so you can actually make money on it. But it's to make sure that the kid is in something safe, and again, you own it, and hopefully in 4 years when it goes up in value, like I said, you sell it, you get all the money back, or the kid, you give it to them, whatever. But as long as they're 18, they don't have to show any income, but they're the owner occupant. And again, they don't call them kiddie condos anymore, but we did years ago. And I always call it that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's very creative.
Oh yeah, we've done a ton of them, and that was one group. Again, years ago, we would go to the to the counselors at the school, the local school, and say, the parents, as their kid is going to be going off to another state or something, it's have that information there. If they're wondering what are we going to do for housing, it's an option. right? Now, a lot of people couldn't qualify to have, their house plus this other one, but there's plenty of parents that had good income that they could actually qualify and afford to make that extra payment. So the counselor would say, hey, here's an option, because we can't find any housing there and you don't want them to live on campus, you don't think it's safe. So you talk to these people. So again, we used to have, at the end of right around the end of the school year, all the seniors that are graduating, we get calls from the parents saying, how do we do this? So we did a bunch of them in the past. Now I haven't gone after that group of people, but it's a great idea. Is you go to the local high school, talk to the counselor, and just say, you got anybody that's going to have a kid going off to school? Here's something we can do. Now, if they're buying in another state, since we operate in every state, we can help them out. So if you have somebody moving to California, you can't really do a transaction in California, but you guys, I'm sure, can refer to somebody in California, at least get a referral fee.
Exactly, referral fee. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, and we have that happen all the time. I've got a couple of agents. That's all they do. They don't even really sell anything. They just have a big referral network.
Right.
And this happens very often with military. Like in Southern California, I'm just outside of San Diego, and there's more military here than anywhere in the nation. And they're constantly at the bases that are in San Diego. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of new people coming in to San Diego to the military bases every month. But then there's also hundreds of people leaving, going to another base. So one of the agents that can get on base, and he's retired military, that's all he does. That's when the new recruits come in, lets them know, about the area. And then, hey, if you're thinking about buying a home, here's the benefits you receive from VA, and lets them know about it. And then the people that are going to another state, same thing is when you get there, if you're thinking about buying a home, let me know, because here's a program that can help you there. I can put you in contact with an agent there. So all you get is a referral fee, and they have transactions going on all over the nation, and they don't even sell a house. They just refer to agents in the other states.
Yeah, a lot of agents do that. They don't sell. They call it out of production. All they do is referrals.
Yeah, and or a combination of that. When it's in your area, obviously you want to do the transaction.
Right.
When it's 1,000 miles away, you can't do that. So you set up a referral network.
Okay, I have one last question for you, Kevin. I have a client that just got out the military, but now in the National Guard. He is not working a full-time job yet. Would he qualify under your home buyer credit program?
Well, yes, he would. Again, because he was in the military, that makes him automatically eligible for the Hero Home Buyer Credit. But then we need to make sure that he qualifies to get a loan. So if the income is part-time, like National Guard is not normally a full-time job, so it would be very hard to qualify for a home without having stable, steady, full-time monthly income.
Unless he's got a lot of savings, right?
But to be eligible for our program, yes, that would be fine. So, if there's, if that person is married and the spouse's income is enough to qualify, because they were in the military, now they're out, they're retired, whatever, they would qualify for the Hero Home Buyer Credit. And again, as long as there's enough income to qualify to buy a home, that's perfectly fine. But that specific example would be tough, because usually in the National Guard, it is a part-time job, and that monthly income would not be enough to qualify for house payment. So in theory, yes, you can do that, but probably not going to work, again, just because of the low income.
But everybody's on an individual basis, so you got to look and see what else he's got that may qualify him.
Right.
And he can get up to 5 more people on there too to help him become eligible.
For most programs, but VA, you can't do that. You can't add co-signers on VA unless they're also eligible. So if you have 2 vets buying a home, that's fine. You can go VA. If you have husband and wife or married people, that's fine. But you can't have a vet and a non-vet, non-spouse as a co-signer. FHA, conventional, you can have co-signers, but VA, unless it's your spouse, both people would have to be eligible. So you could have multiple people as long as they're all eligible for VA.
Gotcha, good information. I know there's a lot of overkill for a lot of us, but it's good information to know. So we're gonna get out there and get it. Yes.
Vanda. I'm sorry. This particular client of mine, he's already qualified. But when I heard about his program, I was like, this sounds a little bit better. So I was just wondering. He's already qualified for 240. So I was just wondering, will, since he was qualified already, maybe could he qualify under his program as well?
And I always tell people to get more than one loan estimate too. So
Yeah, so we would want to do a comparison. So if ABC Mortgage Company has that person qualified, then chances are we would too, because we all do things the same way. You know, interest rates are for the most part the same no matter where you go. The guidelines, if it's FHA or VA or whatever, everybody has to follow the guideline. So if one lender has somebody approved, every lender should come up with the same thing because we all do the same mathematics. We all follow the same guideline. So if that's the one you're talking about where they're in the National Guard and they actually qualified, we should come up with the same answer. We should say the same thing. They, based upon their income, they qualify for 240.
Thank you. Sounds good.
It's not any harder to qualify. If anything, it's easier to qualify for what we do, but it certainly is not more difficult than qualifying with anybody else.
Hey, Vanda. Hey guys, hello. So I have a quick question. I wish I would have known about this. I'm actually in the middle of a closing and one of my clients is actually a nurse.
Okay, well, if it's closing, because we have to be the lender. So if you're closing in the next week or two, it would be very difficult for us to come in now because we'd be starting from scratch, let's say. You know, closing a transaction in 3 weeks is normal. But if you're closing it right away, if the difficulty in closing that transaction, we would love to get involved and see what we can do. But again, I can't close anything less than 3 weeks from start to finish because we'd be starting a brand new loan.
Right, okay.
when is the closing date?
Well, the closing date's the 21st. However, their appraisal and everything already came back. So we probably will be closing before the 21st.
And what type of loan is it?
It's a conventional.
Okay. Because if it was an FHA or VA transaction, the appraisal would be transferred to us. Okay, so when another lender comes in, that saves a lot of time because they would transfer it. On a conventional, it's a lot more difficult to transfer an appraisal.
Okay. However, hey, Kevin, because I just entered my information for the marketing material and the partnering for the co-branding, how soon could I get materials? Because I'm thinking now, once I go to closing in that area, I can, take some material with me. And even at, her location, her employment.
It usually takes about a day, two at most to get the information. So if you send me an email, I'll send an email back to you in CCing my marketing girl, Jessica, and letting you know to put it together. And she'll reach out to you to make sure that we have, again, the logo, your picture, all the things that you'd want to have on there, the right phone number. And all she's doing is basically, inputting that. The rest of the template is already there. So it doesn't take long to make that flyer.
Okay.
A website takes a couple of days because we have to get the domain name and get that all set up. Again, it only takes a couple of days. But if you send information to me today, it shouldn't be beyond Monday before you've got flyers that she can send to you. And what she would send out to begin with is, like I mentioned before, it'd be the group flyer. It's got one of everybody on it. And then if you say, well, hey, I'm going to go to a fire station, you just let her know and she'll send you another template or flyer that has nothing but firefighters on it, going from there. But the first one she would make is just that group one, just so make sure they have all the information right.
Okay.
Does Jessica also help with online marketing, like Instagram posts or anything like that?
Yeah, so any of the social media, she can make sure that if you're going to put that image on there, whether it's a JPEG or PDF, or I don't do that part of it, she can make sure that's set up. So she knows how to do all of that, and she would. And that's why I make sure that you work with her directly. So if anything on marketing and flyers would be directly with my girl, Jessica. Anything with qualifying the buyer, those kind of things I would be doing from start to finish. So once we get you set up, and then you'll see all the things that she can make. Well, there's brochures, there's trifold pamphlets, there's open house flyers she's made for people. She's done all kinds of things. Once she has you in the system, it's easy to make those items. So if that answers the question, generally, 24 hours to have flyers and 48 hours for the website.
Does she work on the weekends?
Yeah, for the most part. And when you see that it's my daughter, she's been doing this now for I think 9 years, but so if you see the same last name as my daughter, people think it's my wife, but it's my daughter. So yes, she does. She does. And we're doing a lot of mailings. Like I mentioned, we send out pamphlet or packets to locations all over the country, and we do a lot of co-branded, co-marketing with agents where if you wanted to send to all the fire stations in your city, and we share the cost of that, and she's sending out thousands of them. I think like this month there's probably 15 to 20,000 packets going out, and most of them are co-branded with a realtor. So we're blasting areas to make sure that we get it out there, knowing that it's kind of slow right now, but get the information out there so that after the holidays and people start thinking about purchasing a home or whatever it might be, and before tax time, where they really start thinking about it, that we get those posters in those locations. And she can talk to you about that if if you wanted to hit certain locations, we can do that. And then we just need to find out if that's going to be individual or team or how you're going to handle that.
Okay, it's the top of the hour. We're 4 minutes after. You did a whole hour, Kevin.
All right. So again, so if there's any individual questions, please send me an email. If you have a question, I can call you back to go over it. Whether it's going through the website, because I went through it pretty quick. But the USDA is a great tool, and you can see as you use it how user friendly it is. And then if you have questions on occupations or people that that should qualify, feel free to call me, because again, I get those calls all the time. And like I said, the more you think about it, you start thinking, boy, I know a teacher, I know a firefighter. And if you know a firefighter, that firefighter knows 20 other firefighters. That teacher knows 20 other teachers. That cop knows 20 other cops.
Well,
So it kind of spreads on its own.
We've got a teacher, a health worker, a transportation person, all on this call.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right, well, if
Okay,
you guys
so
don't have anything else.
If anyone has a question, please reach out to me, and I can handle it individually. And then, Vanda, if you want to give me everybody's email address, if they're not sending it in, if you want me to go ahead and forward information, I can do that as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. So if they wanted to fill out an application, they can call you, or they just need to fill out the information on here, name, email, phone number, occupation?
Yeah, so if they fill that form out, I would call them to go through. And a lot of lenders just have like an online application. I don't like that online application because it's not real personal. So if you give me a person's name, whether it's on the form or you call me, I'm going to call that person, have a conversation at the beginning, and then I would send them the application to fill out, the list of things we need, pay stubs, W-2s, etc. So I do it the old-fashioned way. I talk to every single buyer. I don't just send them to the website to fill out a form.
Okay. And how long it normally takes to get approved?
It shouldn't take more than 24 hours.
Okay.
So from when they send their information, the application takes 2 minutes to fill out. The items we need, they should have at home, again, pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, very basic things. And once they send it in, again, it should not take more than 24 hours.
Awesome.
People
Okay,
said they're
so
sending
I
out
don't know if there's
messages.
any other question, but again, if everybody wants to, again, call later, Monday, whatever you want to do, or send emails with specific questions, I can certainly make sure they're all answered.
All right, thank you. And I appreciate you getting up so early on a Saturday morning to talk to us.
No problem. No problem at all. Okay, so that's all the questions. I look forward to working with everybody and, making this go and hopefully have a long relationship.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Great.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. So I hope we got maybe some intentions. We got a plan that, this could work with a whole lot of people. Instead of just shooting at anybody, we can kind of target our clients, and USDA is all on the outskirts of Houston, down by Brazoria County, Fort Bend County, Waller County. It's just not in the inner city.
Was Forsher on there, Ms. Vanda?
Say that again?
Forsher? I'm not saying it right. Forsher, Texas.
I think
Um,
so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Where was the map? Here we
I
go.
think I did see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
it
know-
should be. I had someone qualify for USDA in Fulshire.
Right down
Okay.
1093.
Right. And it's zero down payment and closing.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. They bring like nothing,
Mm.
to closing.
So you've done a USDA, Chandra.
Uh-huh. And I think my client maybe had to write a check for like $200 or something like that.
Wow.
It was
Oh,
like
wow.
nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. It's
Mm.
awesome.
And that's not that far from us, Vanda. That's not that far.
Yeah.
And
This
all the
is a
new
good one.
No, it's
construction's
not.
going that way.
Right. Rosenberg, then I'm gonna have to get back on the map. Rosenberg, Rosharon, because that's another little area that's about to come up.
Yeah, Rasharon.
Rosenberg looked like it might be in the shaded part.
Yeah.
Right on the other side of 521, I think it was opened up in Rosenberg,
There's like little pockets.
right next to Sienna Plantation. If you go over there, right next to Sienna Plantation, they have neighborhoods over there. Right on the outside of Sienna Plantation on 521, and that was not shaded. Go down,
Go down some more.
yeah. If you zoom out so that you can kind of see where you are, and then zoom in, I think it'll be quick. If you're near 59 right now, you have to go further south. You see where Rose Sharon is to your right, you're about to cover it up.
Oh, yeah, over here, Sharon. Okay.
Okay, so now if you go up a little bit, so you see Sienna Plantation, and then
Yeah.
you zoom in. That's that Rose Sharon area, Rosenberg, all of that is not shaded. Iowa Colony, they have that wonderful neighborhood out there.
Manville, yep.
Mhm.
And they're building like crazy out here.
They are.
Yeah.
Alvin, Sharon, Iowa Colony. Yeah, that would be your area, Regina. I'm gonna stay over here in Katy and go west. So
Just pay us the referral fee.
yes, right. So if anybody wants to go in on a website, we could go in on this website for $200 a year and, see how it goes for a year and have our little referral code on there. Use the same site to draw people there. Or if you want to do it individually, it's only $200 a year. So,
Yeah, I think that's cool.
yeah.
Vanda, I missed that the first part of the session. What did
Mhm.
he say? So you could just make referrals. They pay a referral fee as well.
No. If you generate the client, you can get a referral fee. Like if I don't want to go to Iowa Colony or Manville, I can refer it out to you and I get a referral fee.
I'm saying, so if you let's say with the poster explanation, you put out a poster and some people contact him that came from you and get approved. They pay, you don't get the commission, you just get a referral fee.
No, then I would get the commission if I sent it out. But I think he was talking about another state, like people in California. Let's say you got somebody here and then they're moving to California. You can't sell in California, but you can get a referral. Refer that to somebody in California and get a referral fee. But you generated that lead here in Texas.
Okay, I see.
You understand how the referrals work?
I don't, but you're gonna send out this this recording?
Yes, and then we
Okay.
can have a conversation and I can explain how the referral thing works.
Yeah, I want to catch the front end of this. But this has been good. This is so good and so exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was trying to figure out what we were going to talk about today, and then he called me, and I'm like, I got it. This is what we need.
Indeed.
I love how God brings things to us. I love it. I love it.
Amen.
Thank you for
Amen.
inviting me. This is awesome.
Good. I'm glad you guys were able to attend. Okay, so if we don't have anything else, we can hang up unless anybody has anything they want to talk about. I'm available.
Y'all have a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys have a good weekend.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Okay, bye everybody.
Thank you. Bye.